welcome to Draw the Day Creative Videos. I'm Alex and I'm a glass artist. I also work as an Arts for Wellbeing artist for Cartwheel Arts. I've made this video so that you can follow along and I'll let you know what materials you'll need. Today's activity is all about relaxing, so let's grab some materials and get started. For this activity you will need paper, pencils, pens or crayons, scissors, paints, these can be watercolours, acrylics, any type of paint you have, some scrap materials and something circular to draw around. Don't worry if you don't have all of these materials, you can just use a couple of them. Don't forget to cover your table and ask an adult if you're using scissors. Let's begin. Okay, so to start off today, you're going to need your piece of paper, a pen and something large and circular to draw around. I'm using this baking tin, but you can use anything you can find. So we're going to start off by placing our baking tin in the centre of our piece of paper and then drawing round it with a pen. There we go. Next, we're going to fold our piece of paper in half. So we'll just fold it this way. That's it. And then we're going to fold it this way. That's it. So your piece should look like this. And you'll have 4 circle quarters. Okay, so to start off on your design, we're going to separate the quarters. So let's just fold it out and fold it out again so that we can just see one of the quarters to start off with. We're going to start filling this with patterns. Now, in my example, I tried 4 different things. I used collage on one, paints on another, pencils on another, and pen on another. I tried to use a contrast between black and white and colour. I tried to think about circles in my design. So for instance, I used cogs, spirally paint patterns, planets, patterns in nature, but you can use anything you can think of that's circular. So for instance, think about cupcakes or bike wheels, anything that you want that you can fill your patterns with. Okay, so for the first section, I'm going to use pen. I've found some items lying around my house that are circular to draw around. Just have a look round. If you need to pause the video, see what you can find lying around. You're bound to have something circular. So I'm going to draw around a few of these to start off with. I've got lids, I've got sellotape rolls, I've got all sorts of things lying around. That's it. I've even got a plant pot. There we go. So I've started off by drawing a few circles or semicircles onto my piece of paper. Next, what I'm going to want to do is turn them into cogs. So I might put a centre in the middle of them. So here I'm going to use the centre of this again to create a centre for my cog. Let's just create that. Then the same over here to create a centre for my cog. Next, on the smaller ones, I might freehand draw the centre, or I might leave it blank altogether. Then we need to add the ridges to our cog. So for ridges, you draw a line, then go down, along, up, along, down, along, up, along, down, along, and just carry on like that. So we're creating kind of a step pattern round the circle to create the edges of the cogs. Now some cogs are more spiky, so you could have a more spiky pattern around the outside. It's entirely up to you. They're your design, so just go with whatever you think. Maybe have a look at some pictures for inspiration first. And then the last one. Okay, now I'm going to add some details inside. So I might add some ridges coming outwards. I might add some sections to remove. Like this. I might add a ridge on the inside of my cog to create a slightly 3D effect. And the same on the centre. And the same on the others. Okay. This one I'm going to create some little sections to remove. Okay, so just keep going until you're happy with it. And then in between on my design, what I did is I added some little circles. So I added some random little black splodges. Just to bring some depth to the design. You could do small ones, bigger ones, anything you like. Just spiral your pen and see what happens. Okay, so this is my first section. Next, we're going to flip our paper over and move on to the next section. So for this, I'm going to use collage. I've cut out a few semicircles out of paper. Now I'm going to use Pritt Stick to glue this down, but if you've got any PVA or anything else, that would do too. So I'll just stick these down. Now I've got a section here. I might actually tuck this one underneath. So I'll tuck this bit of landscape underneath. Now these are all taken from old magazines. Make sure if you are cutting out of magazines, you ask the person who owns them first. If you don't have any old magazines, how about brochures, leaflets that have come through the door? How about old scraps of paper, coloured paper? That works well too. And you can either use scissors or you can rip it if you prefer. Don't forget, if you're using scissors, to ask an adult for help. So if I'm doing a slightly bigger circular piece, if you struggle to cut it out freehand, you could always draw it on first. So that piece here, put that piece on. There we go. And then maybe a bit of this orange. There's some nice orange here. So I'm going to add that to maybe a smaller one out of that. That's orange and green. Just to bring a bit more colour to the piece. There we go. And then I could use a little bit of this. So we've got some nice heather here. So this is actually from an old advertising magazine for holidays that I had lying around. There we go. I'll place that one on just there. So this could be a section in itself. You could keep adding into it. You could draw over the top of it. You could add more details. But I think I'm just going to leave mine like that. So this is my first section. On to the next half. So for the next half, I think I'm going to use paint. Now I've got some watercolours, but if you've got any poster paints, any kind of paints lying around, those will work just as well. So I'm going to fold my piece of paper again, and I'm going to find my next section. We'll just move those out the way, and we're going to start painting. So you could do a wash of colour to start off with, so I think I might do a nice wash of yellow straight over the piece, a bit like the sun. Keep adding a bit of water to it. That's it. Okay, then over the top of that I'm going to add a little bit of orange. So I'm going to create a kind of planet-like effect on this section, I think. Something like Mars, maybe. Bit of red. Bit more red. I might add some splatter pattern. I could use a bit of brown and just splatter my paint. Make sure your table is really well covered if you're going to splatter. Okay, so we're going to do some splatter pattern. Again, this works really well with poster paints. Okay, so we've got a pattern there. Add a tiny bit of blue in there as well, just an extra shade. Okay, so we've just got a nice colourful section there. And then for the final section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use pens or pencil crayons. So I think I might take out the pencil crayons. So I'm going to use lots of different mark making techniques on this section. So I'm not going to draw anything specific, but I'm going to use circular mark making techniques. So for instance, spirals. I can do lots of different spirals that overlap each other. I could do tight spirals, bigger spirals. I could do arches, so I have different arches of colour. So here I'm going to do a few different arches of colour. I could cross hatch those arches, so I could have a few different arches going one way and then a few going the other way. Might do that again over here. So just play with your patterns, see how many different mark making techniques you can come up with. That's it. And I'll use some different colours. Try using lots of different colours. Make it as colourful as you can. If you've got a few people in your household, you could always try doing one where each person does a different section. Then when you unfold it, you see what it looks like. There we go. I think I might add a bit of orange in here. I think I'll do some more spirals. There we go, and I could do some dots. So I've got some felt tips as well, so I think I might add some dots. I'll do some little dots of green. So you could do a dotty pattern, possibly. I find it quite satisfying just to fill the page with abstract pattern. It can be quite relaxing. There we go. Might add a little bit of pink in there too. A few dots in pink. And maybe a few dots in blue. Have you ever tried making a picture with just dots? Have a go. There we go. So we've got a piece that's just covered in patterns. Now, when we open up the whole thing, we have 4 different sections. Now what we can do is use our scissors to cut out our circle. So this is the great bit. So if you have had a few different people doing different sections, it's great to reveal what each person has done. And what it looks like is one whole piece. Sometimes easier to cut through the 2 layers at once, especially if your paper's slightly wet. There we go. You can always trim it down if it's not quite right. There we go. So you should have a finished circle. Now you can either mount this on some other paper or you can put it on your wall like that. It's entirely up to you. I hope you've enjoyed following along with this video. If you did, please like and share it with your friends and family, and we'd love to see what you've done. Please tag us with Cartwheel Arts and hashtag Draw the Day in any pictures that you put online, or you can email your pictures to admin@cartwheelarts.org.uk and we'll feature them on our Draw the Day online gallery. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.